Hey everybody, Omar here, your knife of the party guy, and I am back. I had some technical difficulties, so I kind of moved my spot around a little bit because I was losing my connection. I'm hoping I don't lose you guys again. Anyway, so this video is basically trying to compare the Smoke 1, the Smoke 2 to the Boost Blades Hound, and there's a reason why I'm comparing both knives to each other. There's, sometimes politics plays into it. So just a little background on both these knives. Both these knives are designed by Best Tech, and the Smoke 1, because I wanted to get back to that one. The Smoke 1 was actually originally designed by We Knives. The Smoke 2 was designed by Best Tech, and this is where this video begins its story. The original design of the Smoke 1 obviously was designed by We Knives, and it's kind of an interesting thought because Best Tech does make amazing knives, and the Boost Blades Hound proves it. So Best Tech was the company that designed this original, I'm going to accentuate that word, original design. And William Boost went with Best Tech to create this, to create the Boost Blades Hound. Now, a little background on the Smoke. The Smoke 1, for the third time I'm saying it, was originally designed by We Knives. And the plan was William Boost was going to go to We Knives again to execute the Smoke 2. Unfortunately, We Knives had the idea that they wanted to work more on their own custom designs, so they passed to contract again with William Boost to do the Smoke 2. So William Boost decided to go to another company, and the company that he chose to go with was Best Tech. Now, this is where my observation begins. So Boost Blades Hound is an original design, and William Boost went to Best Tech to create this original design for this knife. Best Tech. He didn't go to We Knives. He didn't go to any other company. He went to Best Tech to design this original one. Now, here's where politics plays in. He couldn't get We Knives to do the Smoke 2, right? But he still wanted to make a Smoke 2. So instead he goes with Best Tech. So what does that tell you? And what happened was, those of us that owned the Smoke 1, yeah, I'm having an awkward thing here. Those of us that own the Smoke 1 noticed a huge difference in the execution between the way the Smoke 1 was executed and the way the Smoke 2 was executed. A lot of things were just not up to par on the Smoke 2. Now, those of you guys that never owned the Smoke 1, the Smoke 2 was a great knife. Can I say that? I just want to say that. But for those of us that owned the Smoke 1, we were kind of frustrated because we were kind of looking for an improvement on the original design by We Knives. And for those of us that owned the one, it just did not happen. It was a completely different knife when we received the Smoke 2. Now, I own a Smoke 1. I gotta be honest with you, I still like the Smoke 2. But this video is for those of us, or for those of you guys that have been griping about why the Smoke 2 was not as great as the Smoke 1. But, yeah, again, politics, you go to a secondary company. You don't want to say secondary company, right? But you go to another company, that's the correct word to use, another company to recreate. You don't even know if you're like recreating the same design, because you're kind of asking this other company to replicate what another company did and improve on it. Now, yeah, this is where politics plays in, because is it actually fair to do that to any knife company? I think that's what the topic of this video is. If you are a knife company with a lot of pride and you are a knife designer who tried to get the original company to recreate the same knife and make it better, but you couldn't get a hold of them, so now you go to another knife company to pick up where another knife company left off, that's probably, you know, it's probably not the right thing to, you might even find that kind of offensive, you know what I mean? It's, you know, because if William Booth went to Best Tech, and I don't even know if he went to Best Tech this way or not, but it's almost as if though there was a miscommunication with the smoke design, because I don't think William Booth went to Best Tech and said, hey, I would like you guys to completely reimagine along with me the smoke design, because we love the way that Smoke 1 came out with Wee Knives. We thought we did a fantastic job. But you know what, Best Tech? I would love for you and I to get together and totally redesign this knife. Completely, totally redesign it. So instead, what happened in this knife was the expectation of everyone that owned the Smoke 1 wanted it to be an improved design. And I'm losing you again. Oh, I'm back. Wanted it to be they wanted it to be a redesign. I'm back. So yeah, they wanted to be an original design. If he had approached Best Tech and said, let's make this an original design, completely different than the one, then I think it wouldn't have been, it would have been a better knife. Do you see what I'm saying? Because they were basically asked to just pick up where Wee Knives left off and try and improve on the design, and it just didn't happen here. It's still a great knife, guys. Don't get me wrong. But those of us that owned the one, yeah, I think we were somewhat disappointed. Maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, the knife could have been a 10, and instead it kind of wound up being like a 7. But that's what happens when you have a knife designer, and this is just my opinion only, when you have a knife designer and a knife company miscommunicating with each other and not really saying what they really want to have done. So a couple things happened on this knife real quick. Number one, the knife is a lot lighter, okay? Than the original one, as far as I can tell. But there were some positives, because I do really enjoy the marble carbon on the Smoke 2. I thought they did a great choice with choosing that, because it's really spectacular carbon fiber that they chose. Secondly, the knife is smooth now, but when I first got it, it was pretty stiff coming right out of the box. And I noticed that with the Smoke 1, the Smoke 1 was super smooth immediately. It was just fall drop shut smooth. Both knives used ceramic bearings, but yeah, again, the way the knife was designed, it just wasn't executed the same way. The 3 theme that they had on the one, which everybody thought was really awesome, they kind of maybe missed the target on it with this knife. It wasn't as well understood on this one. Another thing too is the aesthetic. On the Smoke 1, they had sort of milled holes like you do on the Boost Blades Hound. So when you open the knife, you see this open construction. You can see your hand right through the design. That's kind of cool. And then when you close it, the gray of silver of the knife completely covers the aesthetic of the hole. So that looks really attractive. However, on the Smoke 2, it's almost like it's kind of off a little bit. So it's kind of a stupid nitpicky thing, but if you had the Smoke 1, then you guys would know what I'm talking about. Because when you close this knife, you can still see the blue behind the blade, which I think I found that kind of frustrating, you know, because it's supposed to be aesthetically pleasing to the eye, and maybe I'm being a little bit nitpicky, but if you're going to create a design like this, then the intention should be there. to completely cover up, you know, the background that you're seeing when you open and close the knife. So that wasn't as well executed as it should have been. The fact that the knife is much lighter, it has a softer detent than the original. The fact that the knife doesn't fall super shut like it does with, say, the Boost Blades Hound, where again they were asked to make an original design. I mean, this one falls shut immediately, and this one, it's even after having it for a year, you know, it doesn't quite, you know, it sort of stops before closing. And the Hound and the Boost Blades Smoke don't do that. They both close with just, see how quickly that closed? I barely even, I guess I barely even jerked it to close, whereas this one, you know, I could use the same amount of force and it's not drop shut really. Still smooth on ceramic bearings, but not as drop shut. Yeah, the ergos are about the same, but it's just the overall feel of the knife, the execution of the way that it had happened. We kind of have to see this more geared towards those that were looking for a custom-looking tool rather than a knife that was geared more towards the custom knife collector. You know, and I think that that was partly due to the miscommunication. So I think the whole point of this video is, if you are a knife designer and you can't get the original company to create the knife that to create the knife and make it a better knife, asking another company to do that, I think that that's kind of wrong. You're you know, I don't want to say you're insulting the knife company, but to go to them, and I don't even know if William Booth even did this at all. Maybe I'm completely wrong. All I know is that the Smoke 1 is a better knife than the Smoke 2, and this is just my philosophy as far as why I think that. You know, again, if he had gone to Best Tech and said, hey, you know what, we knives can't make the Smoke again, why don't you and I, Best Tech, completely reimagine the Smoke, and reimagine the Smoke. We'll call it the Smoke 2. I'll come up with a completely different design as a designer, and you and I, Best Tech, will work on it and create a totally different knife that people are going to be happy with, rather than saying, We Knives wasn't available to make the Smoke 2. How about you guys make the Smoke 2 for me? And then a lot of things will be left out in the execution as far as why it's not as great. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that is the whole point of this video, and why I think politically the Smoke 2 kind of disappointed a lot of Smoke 1 users. And again, this video is really only for those of us that owned a Smoke 1. For those of you that have never owned a Smoke 1 and you have a Smoke 2, you got nothing to gripe about. This is still a terrific piece. And yeah, I mean, I still like it, even though I own a 1. I just, you know, when I have this knife in my pocket, I just know that it's a completely different knife, and that I have to accept it for its limitations, basing my opinion on the Smoke 1. I think that's what I'm trying to say there. So that is it for this video. I hope I wasn't rambling, and I think I got my point across. For those of you guys that own a Smoke 1, you guys kind of get what I'm talking about. For those of you guys that have never owned a Smoke 1 and only have this knife, the Smoke 2, again, you have nothing to complain about. It's a great piece overall. So this is Omar, the Knife Shark Guy, signing off before I actually lose you again. Which I hope I don't. Yeah, you guys enjoy your Labor Day weekend, and I will see you all in my next video. But think about this concept for a little bit, having not secondary, having another company redesign, not redesign, but having another company pick up where the other company left off because they couldn't do it. So this knife failed only through the concept of communication. You know, it almost seems to me that it was not fair for Best Tech to be given the task of picking up where another knife company left off, trying to mimic the same design, or trying to get the company of Best Tech to sort of come up with a version of the smoke that would be satisfying for Smoke One users. It's just not fair. If you're going to work with a knife company, make sure it's an original design, so that the execution of the knife won't have a history of prior knife owners expecting something else. So think about that for a bit when you get a new knife. And I kind of hope that this won't happen again with any knife company. Again, this is not a comment on Boost Blades or Best Tech. They are both excellent knife companies. This is just a little story of what happened and why it happened. You can look at it like a negative thing, but again, if you look at the Boost Blades Hound, this is such an excellent knife and an original design. And William Boost went to these guys and designed it with them. And it's beautiful. Just beautiful. And it has no history. It has no designing history. I think that's how I'm trying to explain it. It has no designing history. It's an original design versus the Smoke 2, which was originally the Smoke 1, so there's your history. And the miscommunication was that they couldn't make it a better knife, only because the two parties involved in creating the knife really couldn't understand what it was that they were doing. I think that that's the best way to put it. So having said that, let me close out this video, and you guys enjoy your Labor Day weekend, and I will see you all in the next video. This is Omar, your Knife of the Party guy. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.